Hello and welcome to the Women's Network. I am Elke and I am your host. I want to invite you to a wonderful show today. We are going to fly high, literally. We have women in aviation, women who are up in the skies and see this beautiful country below them, and they want to talk to us about it. They will tell us how to get into being a pilot. They will talk about career issues. They will talk about their wonderful experiences, etc., etc. There is so much to it because I've had the chance to talk to them already, and there is so much. So without further ado, let's go right into it, and let me invite you to my wonderful guests. First, I have Claire Walters, who has been a pilot and an instructor for many years, and she can really fill us in about women in aviation. Claire, it's so nice to have you. If you don't mind, tell the audience just a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 82 now, and I wish I could start over again because it would be nice to just do it all over again. I had so much fun. I had my first flying lesson when I was 17. However, that's not when I decided to learn to fly. I decided when I fell out of my crib on my head that I'd better take some flying lessons. I have always wanted to learn to fly, so it was just a matter of getting old enough and having enough money to do it. And
well, I think you can, you have a lot to tell us. Okay, my next guest is Sharon Crawford, who has been a pilot and a captain for the commercial airlines. Sharon, so nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your background?
I grew up in Central California and thought that people who flew were crazy and had a death wish. But my husband is an aeronautical engineer, so when he wanted to fly, I went along with him and learned how to fly, and it was like creating a monster because it was a hobby for 15 years, and then I traded my teaching job in when I was 46 and got hired by United Airlines. Spent almost 14 years flying for United, and it was the most fantastic job in the whole world.
I probably it was one of your flights. I didn't have any bumps or anything.
I hope so.
And next to me I have Diane Rumble-Myers. Diane, so nice to have you
Hello,
here.
nice to be here.
And you are a captain and a flight instructor and so on. Please tell the audience a little bit about it.
Well, I started flying actually when I was 28. I didn't know anybody who flew. I liked flying in airplanes, but I didn't know anybody who flew, so it never occurred to me to fly airplanes. I rode motorcycles, and then I saw these little airplanes. I thought, that looks like fun, so I traded in the motorcycles and started taking flying lessons. And my first solo, I remember looking down and thinking, I'm not coming down.
That's great. Well, you could have stayed with motorcycles. I would have ridden along. But up in the air, I'm sure it's so much more interesting,
it's
even
gorgeous.
though it's fun on
so
a motorcycle.
Beautiful. It's so beautiful.
And last but certainly not least, Luana Davis. Luana, so good to have you here. You came a long way. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I started flying when I was 11. My father's retired from Pan American World Airways. So I've been flying for a little while, and I had the privilege of being with Federal Express for 25 years. 19 of those years I flew as captain. And during that period of time was the first woman in the world to fly the MD-11 as a captain.
Well, the MD-11 doesn't mean anything to me, but I hope to our audience or people who have knowledge about planes, it means a great deal. You said you started flying at 11. I heard about young women starting to fly. I mean, 11 years old. You weren't even able to, I mean, what grade is it? Like 5th grade or something like that?
Just about.
What made you want to jump into an airplane and go up there?
Well, my father collected airplanes. We always had 1 to a dozen airplanes when I was growing up, also in Central California. And from a very early age, I wanted to fly. But of course, I learned and gained the passion and love for flying from my father.
Right, being
and the
around,
excitement.
right, being around airplanes and being around the environment, I think, really gets you going. And there is something special about airplanes. I mean, in my case, I just go to the airport and take a flight, but I get very excited for some reason. There's something about airplanes or airports or whatever it is. And Claire fell out of her crib, she said, on her head and started to fly. Give us a little background on that.
Well, I was born wanting to fly. It was just a matter of getting the money together and doing it. And when I was in high school, I was called into the vice principal's office, and she says, "Why are you taking mathematics and physics?" And I said, "Well, because I'm going to be a pilot, and I think I need those things." And she said, "Well, you can't be a pilot." And I said, "Why not?" And she said, "You have to have money to be a pilot." She says, "I know Helen O'Donnell, and she's married to an oil man, and she says you have to have money." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, I believe that if you want to do something badly enough and you're willing to work for it, then you can do that." So I did. And my twin sister and I both started learning to fly as soon as we were 17. We worked at night at Hunt's Cannery, which was right off the end of Fullerton Airport, and we made 35 cents an hour. So we'd have to work 10 hours to get $3.50, and that would buy us a half-hour flying time.
You did want to fly. You really had it in your veins at that time, like you. God. Sharon, I understand you brought some pictures of your
Yes.
flying time.
Just a little bit of the background, and Claire does still do, right? The Palms to Pines Air Race from Santa Monica to Oregon, and I flew that several times before I started with United. And I did bring a picture of my daughter and myself. She was my navigator, and we won that race.
Oh,
And it was
my God.
an exciting.
Does your daughter fly?
No, she went through solo when she was in high school and decided that she would rather do scuba diving or chase boys. And I think she was successful on both of those. But our son took some lessons also, but he didn't like feeling like a fool on the radio. So neither of our children fly, but they'll fly along with us.
Oh, that's nice.
Right.
That's nice. Well, if we can get the pictures,
Okay.
Sharon's pictures, that would be, and you can maybe, there you
Okay,
go.
there's my whole family that came on my last flight from United, and the 4 grandchildren. The oldest one is now 6 and a half. The youngest one sitting on my lap is going to be 4 in a month. That's my daughter, as we took our picture for the Palms to Pines Air Race in, I think it's 1985, again before United. Didn't want to do any racing when I was with United because I was afraid of having a little incident or whatever, but this is the formal picture I took of, or had taken of myself with my United uniform.
Great. There you are in your full attire.
Oh, I forgot,
And
I was
when
gonna say
when
I-
I'm at the airport, I count
Right.
those stripes.
I got hired when I was 46 at United, changed careers at 46, and I'd like to tell ladies, you don't have to, you can change your careers. I was a high school math teacher before and got hired by United, and glad every day that I did get hired by United.
Unbelievable. That's incredible. Because I was talking to Claire about the age limits, pros and cons earlier. But also, I know you all belong to a club called the 99ers. And you gave me a magazine earlier. Talk about the 99ers. What is that all?
The 99s,
99s.
the International Organization of Women Pilots, started in 1929, and there were 99 members.
That makes sense.
And Amelia Earhart, of course, is the most famous member.
Yeah.
It's an international organization all over the world. Last summer there was a convention in New Zealand.
My God.
So we travel around the world to meet other women who fly. Most of the women are not airline pilots. They fly for fun. They fly airlines. They fly cargo. They fly all sorts of airplanes.
You are a captain. What was your affiliation? I mean, as far as flying commercially, or like Luana had the Federal Express?
I was a captain for Continental Airlines. I flew for Continental for 22 years,
Oh my God.
and I became a captain after I'd been there for only a year and a half, which was there was-
Amazing.
amazing, yes.
Yeah.
You were accelerated. I mean, she came off that motorcycle, went to the flight school.
Yeah, it took me 6
Con-
years. Yeah.
It was her red hair.
I think so, yes.
So you have some pictures as
yes,
well.
yes, I
So
did
maybe
bring
you
some.
can talk about your pictures a little bit once he gets them up. But that sounds like a wonderful organization to belong to, and I'm sure it's growing and growing and growing because, from what I gather, there are more women flying at this point than ever before. Now, statistics still aren't up to par.
No, it's
No.
only running 6% compared to men.
That's all?
6,
6%?
it's been that way since 1911. 6% to men. And that's why I'd like to see as many women be urged to fly, to learn to fly.
There we are. Oh, wow, that's a hot picture.
I also flew in the Palms to Pines, which Claire operated, and that airplane was a seaplane. This picture, I'm standing in the engine of a 777 airplane that I flew.
That's scary. I hope he's not going to. That's cute. That's wonderful.
My captain had in front of the 777.
That's great. God, and I know you have 100 more pictures because I saw them, but unfortunately we don't have the time. And later on we see a little bit of Claire's time in the air. And now, as far as careers are concerned, we understand now that there is a chance to be in the open there, United and the bigger airlines, and to even hire at a later date.
Right.
Now, it wasn't always that way, so I'm happy to see that. And what about in your field? I mean, flying cargo, etc. Do they have?
The same applies to those of us who fly with the cargo airlines as with the others, such as at Continental and United. The criteria is the same for acceptance.
Yes.
And of course, the same factors apply to us as far as age and gender and excelling and satisfying all the requirements. And actually, I believe it's documented that the women have actually had to excel consistently higher.
That's pretty much in every field. We always have to prove. We always have to prove more than the men do, and we don't want to go into that right now because we
good.
have men watching.
Just say it was difficult.
Right. Yeah. Now, as far as let's say I want to become a pilot, pilot. Is there a lot that would prevent me from it? I mean, as far as health, and you have to be in pretty good shape, and not everybody can jump into it, right? I mean,
That's pretty much it. You can fly as a handicapped person. They have.
I'm just saying for those of us who are watching and have that urge, you know, like it used to be like you can't wear glasses and you know that type of thing.
At one time, that was true, but it's not true now. Your glasses are.
And diabetes?
Diabetes would be a problem. Anything that might cause you to
black
become
out.
debilitated,
Yeah.
suddenly or something would not be really good. Those people still fly, but they're smart. Most of them are smart enough. I don't know about the men, but the girls are smart enough to have somebody fly with them that has a pilot's license and can help if something goes wrong. I used to do that for a lady that who's 10 years older than I am. Passed away a couple of years ago, but I would fly with her, even though at any time she might pass out. She never did. But I knew that I could handle the airplane.
Right.
I knew what, because I'd taught so many thousands of people to fly, and some of them I had problems with.
How many did you?
Oh, I really don't know.
A lot.
A lot.
Thousands.
thousands.
That's almost unbelievable. And you're all flight instructors.
Yes, yes.
Ooh, well, now I know where to go to.
Right.
Well, we have a few pictures of Claire, and if we are ready, maybe Claire can give us a little bit of an input as to where she is. That's the book you wrote.
That's the book, and you're cutting my head off.
Yes, we discussed that. We'll get you back later.
That's my twin sister and me when we were 17. She also has a pilot's license. This is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I've gone up in the tower to find out what's going on. And this is my twin and me. We're getting ready for a race. This is Frances Barra, who has won many, many races. She flew with me in 1951, and we won. That was first. We did not fly that airplane. Now here I had just won the shooting contest at the Culver City Police Department. This picture shows us in Nicaragua. That's President Somoza on the left and Shirley Tanner on the right with me. We flew to Nicaragua in an air race called the Angel Derby. That was in 1971. And I presented an award to the ROTC. I was invited to the dinner. And this is an ejection seat from a T-33 jet trainer in which I got to go for a flight in Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. And they had one airplane that was available that had all the instruments working and everything, and one colonel who was checked out in it. This is an airplane I had, 182. The throttle component came apart at 500 feet. They were doing some real estate flying and landed on the freeway, and then I later took it off an early morning when no cops were around. This is Elizabeth Dinan and me. We have just completed a flight to Baja. We raced to Baja. And this is my flight school, Santa Monica Airport. And this is Playgirl magazine. Well, they asked me if I would be photographed for it, and I said, sure. They shot me from behind, flying an airplane around the traffic pattern. So I like to tease my friends with my role at Playgirl magazine. That's the airplane my twin and I flew in the 1948 Powder Puff Derby. And that's my friend Ricky Barton, who flew with me in several races, and that's Shirley Tanner, whom we lost Shirley earlier this year. That's Carol Lund, and we flew in a number of air races together. And that's a bunch of gals that I taught to fly, and a wonderful bunch of ladies. We had 8 or 10, and that's me in the cockpit of a Tim, which was a open cockpit, obviously, aircraft. And that, I don't know anything about that.
Well, you had some career, I must say. Wonderful, wonderful. So I know we can go on for days. And I think you need to write a few more books. But since we don't have that much more time, we want to talk about advancing the pilots for tomorrow. What do we have to say about that? I mean, the programs that we have going right now, especially for women.
The 99s are very encouraging to future women pilots. We have a Future Women Pilots program to encourage young women to fly, young women and women of all ages to fly.
And there are scholarships available through the 99s, and also is it Women in Aviation has a big education and scholarship program available also.
And I also see that you are also now, instead of walking, you're flying for breast cancer and various causes. Because I'm a runner, I'm a walker. So it's good to know that we have you women up there and doing the same great work for for all these great causes. Well, I'm just looking at this. What about the space program, Women in Space? Now, I know there was a program many years ago called the Mercury 13, which was scrapped. So maybe Claire can, or you can.
Well, that was started by Jackie Cochran, had a medical place, and she had a contract to see if women could become astronauts. The program was not to make women astronauts. The men were not going to give that up. And they had everybody learn to fly jets and so on before they could even think about being in the program. So it was not to make women astronauts. It was just to prove that they could medically do that. And I don't know why they had to bother, because after all, a lot of us had walked across the western deserts behind covered wagons, firing at Indians chasing us, and I don't know what else we had to do to prove that we could do it.
Well, here we go again, but we don't want to go any further.
Okay.
Yeah, well, now these women, were they told at the beginning that they were the first women who had a chance to go into space, or was it all
No,
false pretense?
they were never going to go into space, and they were told that. They knew that. There's a couple out there that will tell you that they were going to be the first in space, and they had got a rotten deal, but it's not true.
Okay. So when the program started up again, what happened to these women that have already taken the training? I mean, were they now eligible to go
have no
like
idea.
Sally Ride, or?
No, because they're too old now. Anyway.
Well,
was
yeah,
a long
at this
time
point,
ago.
probably.
That was a
because
long
of-
time ago. I turned down the opportunity to go into that program. I was put in for it by a very fabulous gal, very famous. But I turned it down because I heard about all the things they had to do, and I didn't want to go through all that torture. That was not my thing.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it takes, I guess, there again,
It
it
was
takes
very
a certain
torturous.
person to go that far. For right now, I'm just happy that you were all there, and I felt pretty safe up in the skies.
Good.
And I like to hear more about, we talked earlier, what's going on below me, like the beautiful countryside, like Mount Rainier, the beautiful picture here. Like you said, you see it all up front. We see it now on the left, you see, and on the right, you see. I'm just kidding, but anyway. I have something here saying future women pilot programs. What do we have there? I mean, do we have anything special, especially concerning women?
Well, these are mostly they're student pilots, and they're pre-private pilots. So we invite them. We always do this anyway. I don't know why they had to put a name on it, because we would always invite women who were learning to fly to our meetings. And as soon as they get their private license, why, we'd give them an application to join. But they call them future women pilots, and they're technically they belong to the organization at
Right.
a lesser fee, and then when they
Yeah.
get a private license, why they don't.
Okay, we have about 3 minutes, and I would like for those of you who have something to say to our audience, some words of encouragement. Let's say I'm sitting out there, and all this time I wanted to fly, which is really the truth, but never got to it. I stayed with the motorcycle. Anyway, so if we have something very brief, like 30 seconds worth, 20 seconds worth.
I'm just glad that I was able to fly privately and also for United, because it's a feeling of exhilaration and achievement that I can do that, and I'm good at it.
That's
So
achievement,
if you
all right.
like it, do it.
And early in my years, I went to the 99s. And it is because of their mentoring and encouragement that I was able to garner much of what I learned through the years, which led to my career at Federal Express. So I'm forever grateful to this wonderful organization, of which we're all members and have been members for a number of years.
Ah, that is so
Yes.
great. It must be a wonderful organization. I have to tap into it a little more. Do you have anything for our audience?
When the first meeting I went to for the 99s, I met women who weren't talking about bathroom wallpaper and babies, and they were talking about flying, which
I
was
need
my
to join
passion.
that group. I need to join that group. or what did we eat last night, and I want to lose weight. Claire, do you have some?
Oh, I think it's.
I know you have a lot, but keep it
I
short.
can talk for hours. I think it's a wonderful career for women. You get out there and learning to fly, you get a self-confidence that nothing else can give you. And you can do it, and all you have to do is start. And it's just glorious. It's just, I'm so happy that I got the chance to learn to fly. I wish I'd had a chance to become a captain, but I was much too old for it. When I was a girl, they didn't let us.
Yeah. Well, so more or less, go for it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
At all times.
Absolutely.
And from what I hear, it's a wonderful profession. It's wonderful to be up there. I mean, I know you have your days that might be overcast, but for the most part, it seems like a wonderful, wonderful idea to be a woman pilot. And with that, I want to thank all of you for coming. It's been great for me. I've heard a lot. I learned a lot. And if it's not too late, I read the booklet. And to my audience, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a great time, because I certainly did. And like I said, I learned a lot. And I want to thank all of my women pilots, captains, aviators. Thank you so much, Sharon, Luana, Diane, and Claire. And Claire was so influential of getting all of you
Yes.
together. So
Yes.
Thank you,
again,
Claire.
it was wonderful. Thank you, and
Thank you.
I hope I have
Thank you.
again, because there's so much more. I have a list here that I haven't been able to finish. So, but until then, to my audience again, thank you so much, and please join me again with another great topic very soon. And if you want to know more about our women in aviation, please call the number at the end of the credits, and I will tell you all about it. And join us again. Bye-bye.